Hello everyone and welcome back to Short Circuits. So, with the keyboard put back together, the Amiga all assembled, the Gotek drive in, and the USB card where it's supposed to be, we are now ready for the pièce de résistance. That is, of course, the ACA500Plus, which I'm really super excited to use. So, there's not much to this little guy, honestly. I do have the mouse plugged in right now, and so I'm just going to kind of work around that. But so the ACA500 goes right into the Zorro slot, which is this big old guy right here, as you can see. That just slides right on there. And again, a lot of people don't really like this card because they don't like the fact, I'm going to do this from my angle, and I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see, but there's really not much to see. I mean, literally, literally the card goes in. You don't hear anything go snap, please. But the card goes in, it goes on the edge connector there. Nice and firmly. Alright. And as I was saying, a lot of people don't like this card because, as you can see, it sticks out. It pokes out the side here because that's what it do. It's an external card. But what's great about that is then, of course, you can attach another accelerator card here. And it's not unwieldy. It's not any different than, say, an external drive that would be on the side, although I know that most people are right-handed, so we probably keep them over here. But it's no different than that. It's no different than an external drive. It would be on the side of your Amiga, just kind of hanging out, except this one's, of course, attached. And then if you add another accelerator card, an A1200 accelerator to this, and then somehow, easily, you could build or buy, they have cases for it, build a case for it. You then have access to all the bits and bobs you need, have access to the A1200 card, have this nice little plastic case right here. And although it extends slightly, it's still not in the way. So I mean, you can have the streamlined Amiga case with internal accelerator card, or you can have a really useful functional accelerator card out here that does the same thing. So with that plugged in, I'm going to assume that's plugged in well enough. It's not going anywhere. Doesn't feel like it is. This side slid in kind of tight, and then I just pushed this side in until it was even. So the next thing that we're going to do is power everything up. So I have my power brick here. Power is not on, and of course I have to do this manually by finding you can tell I'm new to this. I don't remember where the power plug is, but I'm fairly certain it is not anywhere near. Okay, I can't find it. It's here somewhere. I have to turn this thing around to find it. So let's take a quick look. We're looking at, gotta find the top of this, which is here. It says top, and then I thought it was over here between two ports. It's between, I believe it's the PCI port, or the LPT port, excuse me, the printer port or parallel port, and the RGB connector, I think, is where that's located. But it's over there. I move this all around a little bit, and then I'm going to plug a couple things in, including our monitor. Just so you know, the RGB connector I have, this little guy right here, again, works well for me. It works well for me on my TV, of course, because it can accept a 15 kilohertz signal. And so I would be able to see this in color if I were to plug this into my television set. You, however, cannot. Simply because the only way I have to capture video directly from this guy is through the composite out, and the composite out is black and white. So, unfortunately, the rest of this video is probably going to be in black and white, at least the portion where we take a look at the Amiga stuff. But before we do that, there's one more thing I need to do, and that's this little guy, and that's our 16. Try that again. That's our 16 gigabyte Ultra card. So we're going to plug that guy in, and that guy comes right over. You know, having the mouse actually plugged in is really irritating when you're not using it. So we have the boot card here, trying to move things around without having to move the camera around. So the boot card should go in, I believe the equivalent is upside down for me, or at least written side up. And it goes right like that. And so that's our boot card. Now, I don't have a second CF card right now. If I had one, it would go right here, and that would be our transfer card, so that we wouldn't have to hook up a parallel port or do any of that jazz. Alright, so I'm going to move some things around and kick this thing on, and hopefully there's not a lot of smoke. Actually, I debate if I want to turn it on first in case there's smoke, because that grounding wire is still not plugged in on the keyboard. But If there is smoke, I'm just going to cry because most likely it's going to search through the ACA500 and kill it. If that happens, I'm going to be completely sad. So I'm going to plug in some other stuff, get everything all set up and ready to go, and then we're going to get this thing up and running. And when I'm going to kick on the power, if you hear me cry, that's why. So we'll do that. Alright, so I have everything set up, plugged in, and on. The black box you see in the corner is my capture device. It's just a cheap $6 gadget dazzle I got from Goodwill one day, and it works okay with capturing composite, but again, please remember it's going to be in black and white because that's all the Amiga 500 can output on composite, which I still find really weird since the Amiga 1000 is able to output full color, but someone on the internet, much wiser than myself, said something about the Amiga 500 missing some key components. I don't know what or why, but there they are. I've also adjusted the camera slightly so you guys can look straight down on the ACA500Plus to see what kind of magical, mystical mumbo-jumbo it does when we kick this thing on. You can't see the power lights, but I can, and of course if there's any magic smoke, you might see it waft by. Take a sip of coffee for luck while it's still warm. That's some good Joe. Alright, I'll move that out of the way so you guys can see. So here you go. No magic smoke, no magic smoke. Huh? Okay, we got some numbers. Hey, look at that. Alright, so there we have individual computers now. I am going to make this guy bigger by doing a fit to screen. Ooh. Oh, that is terrible on the eyes. Let's go ahead and see if there's a better resolution for that. I don't have many to choose from. That's lighter, but not. Oh, there we go. 430. Okay, cool. Whew. Yeah, that was hard to look at. All right. So now I don't know if this thing's supposed to be in color or not. I am gonna kill the backgrounds. Those are gonna kill my light, but that's okay. Don't know if this is supposed to be in color or not, but I'm fairly certain if you look on YouTube, and I've seen this up and running before on YouTube, it should have color. But not gonna worry too much about that. I do have a light on these little LEDs here. It's glowing green and blue and orange. It's just cycling through its colors. So we have several options, including boot ACA500Plus complete Kickstart ROM 3.1, as well as 1.3, standard A500 profile menu, user ROM configuration, installer menu, global profile settings, flash updater, cloaking device mode, expert menu, normal mode, and select save profile and reboot. So I'm not going to mess with any of the profile stuff because I do not know enough about this thing to start fiddling with like overclocking and speed boosting and changing the way things load. However, we are going to go to the installer menu. And the reason why is because you have the ability to install OS 3.1. You have the auto installer, the install disks, which means you can export the disks to something. I probably could I could maybe export them to the Gotek, but I'm not going to try. I mean, you have a network install, of course. And then we have our aux CF card slot activated. The aux CF card slot will be enabled and you can use with aux SCSI device unit 0. That's going to be the secondary card slot, the one that's currently empty. Alright, so if we go to, oh yeah, there's no arrow keys. F1, auto installer. This is a recommended way of installing the OS on a CF card. If you did not insert an empty card yet, please do so now. Please note that the boot slot is not hot pluggable. If you are inserting a card now, please power cycle the computer and come back to this menu before starting the install. Not to worry, there's one already in there. Activate configuration and reboot. Well, not really, I just enter. There you go. So now it's going to copy the ROM image to flash memory, and then it's going to go through the process of installing, there it is, unpacking virtual disk. So now what it's going to do is it's got 7 disks to install the Amiga OS, and it's going to do that. So as much as I would love to sit here and have you guys watch all 7 disks installed, I will not force you to do that. So we are going to fast forward through this. Okay, now it looks like it unpacked everything and we have the ability to install in English and Installe auf Deutsch and then licenses. Does my mouse work? My mouse works! Now, my mouse kind of works. Now please remember the mouse still has not been fixed, so my left mouse button is still a little bit wonky, but we'll give it a shot. Oh, ZZ, that's a good thing. Let's see. Amiga RDB found, 16 gigabytes. Select install medium to partition and install automatically. So it looks like we have this. Now, see, I don't know if my button's working or not. I was going to change the size to 4 gigabytes, but I don't think it'll let me. So I'm just going to say 16 gigabytes because that's how big the card actually is, and hopefully it'll do the rest. So install. Automatic partitioning and installation. Ready to install the medium boot. Any data on the medium will be lost. Well, since it's an empty card I haven't used before, yeah, that'd be great. Installation successful. Please reboot as soon as possible. Oh, now I was gonna go down and get myself something from the store, but okay. Alright, so we don't have to reinstall because we just did, so I'm assuming we just hit reset. Yes, I would like to reset my computer. Oh, I like that. I mean, you guys can't see it because the pop-up's in the way, but the digital display actually shows the loading percentages. Of course, it stops at 99 because it only has 2 digits, but I'm assuming 99 is close enough to 100 for our purposes. I'm pretty certain there's a reset button on there too, but I'm not going to press it. Alright, so at this point we have some options. We have the ability to boot into the 3.1 ROM, and that uses the Amiga OS we just installed. Or we have the ability to boot into ROM 1.3, which requires a Workbench disk. Now I know for a fact, because they build these things and they work the way they're supposed to, that if I were to press F1, it would take us exactly where we want to go. It'll take us to it'll do Kickstart ROM 3.1, it'll load us into the Amiga OS 3 Workbench, and everything will be fine. No games will run. As far as I'm aware, no games really run on 3.1 as 1.3. That has the largest majority of games, and even though 3.1 has backwards compatibility, you're better off running 1.3 anyway, which is why this comes with both. But with that, you still need a boot disk or a Workbench disk or something that boots into Workbench from 1.3. So we're going to go with 1.3 and we're going to see what happens, because this is now going to test the Gotek to find out what the Gotek does. Now the Gotek has nothing on its screen and there's a little red light. That makes me nervous. But let's go ahead and take a quick look. So we're going to do Kickstart 1.3. Oh, there it goes, it's trying. We have Workbench version 133, revision 3434, disk 1. It's currently loading, it's making funny sounds. Got a little percentage rate. I have to lean way over to see it. So the Gotek is lit up. I don't know why there's a big red light. I don't know why it's red, but the green light is now blinking as well. I'm fairly certain the red light is something important. I'm assuming it has something to do with power, like the red light's power LED, and the green light's function LED is what I think it is, but yeah, something's going on. Hey, look at that! We have Workbench 1.3. Alright, so we actually, yeah, we have 79, I can't read it, is that 799, no, 7,993,024 memory free. So I'm assuming that's 799K, because it's not 7.9 megs, because this thing only has like a meg in it. I honestly don't know how much memory. I know the Amiga 1000 has 256K normally. I have the 256K expansion, and then whoever had the machine before me added a 1 megabyte expansion card, which is literally a platter that sits, it's a platter daughter board that sits on top of the motherboard, and it's soldered in like 5 different places, making it almost impossible to get to the motherboard anymore. So it has almost 2 megs of RAM. So I'm assuming this has 1 meg, and is using up a little bit for the workbench. But because of that, you're gonna hear me clacking my mouse around because I keep trying to not move the Amiga, but I have no room on my right hand to move my mouse. All right, here we go. So we have work for workbench. Now this is a workbench ADF file I borrowed. There's nothing under work, so that's not helpful. And when I have to relearn how to do this. One of these is closed. The other one is moved to back. All right, so we have tools, startup, storage, expansion. This is moving really fast, which is really nice. Show config. Now I know that there is a program to where you can see what your Amiga is capable of. Basically, it's a run, run this kind of thing. All right, I'm assuming that's selected, but okay, nothing is coming of that, so that's not helpful. Key show. Wonder if that shows me which. Oh, okay. Now does that show me which keys I'm pressing? Okay, that's my mouse making funny sounds. I pressed the Q key and moved my mouse at the same time, and I swear something exploded. Okay, I don't know if this is showing things. Oh, you know what? I wonder if my keyboard's not working. I need I need to learn how to find things. Okay. You have to give me a second. I am so absolute. Well, calculator might work as long as I have some numbers to work with. The problem I have here is that it's not asking me to change disks, because the Amiga will ask you to change disks if it's trying to load something and it can't, or if it needs a different one. Workbench 3.1, 1.3. That's the disk that's in there, and this is Workbench 3.1, which is actually on. Oh, that is going to be why I'm trying to work with Workbench 3.1 when I'm under the 1.3 Kickstart. This is the disk I'm looking for. That's why this was so fast, was because that was working from the CF card. Okay, here we go. So we have our system here. Now I'm reading the actual disk. That's why it's not so fast. Okay, CLI will work because that is our yeah, please tell me you work, Mr. Keyboard. Okay, keyboard is working, and I'm gonna press the key. Okay, my left parenthesis, no, bracket. Why can I not remember what these things are called? Yeah, parenthesis, because the other one's a quotation mark. Anyway, my left parenthesis key is not working. Could be an alignment issue, could not, maybe it's not going down far enough. I'm gonna assume it's an alignment issue, so that key is still dead. Could open it up, take it all apart, try to readjust the key, but you know what? It doesn't look like it's broken, and I have another one under 9, because I have 9, and then I have Shift 9, so I am not concerned. So if I ever want to fix that, maybe one day, but not today. And then this one, I think exit is this one? No, let's just go back. I don't think you can type exit here, can you? No, it's going to give me an unknown command. What? Okay, can I just, apparently you can't close your CLI window once it's open, or if you can, I don't know how. Okay, one more thing I'm not, not like modern Windows, you have to tell it to come to the front. What was the other thing I was looking for? I don't think I have a way to see my, my data. I can graphics dump, I can basically dump the, graphics dump is basically print screen. I know that much. We have notepad, calculator, print files, dollar files, say. I don't have the sound hooked up to anything. None of us could hear it if I turned it on. So yeah, that's gonna be. Now there should be a way. Now you're supposed to be able to navigate your Gotek on your screen, is what they say. Your handy on-screen navigator. But I'm gonna do something here with the buttons. Alright, now we're at disk 2 of 2, I think. Disk 2 of 2. Yeah, okay, so this is the extras disk. Here it is, extras disk for Workbench, and if I open this up, it's going to give me extra stuff. FD13, fonts, devs, PC util, and tools. So this is the other stuff that would have been on the Workbench. NX Fed, free map, performance monitor. I know what that one is. Let's try details. Read to me, top copy, PCF format. No, not looking for any of that. Alright, so I don't know if perfmon will work, but we'll take a quick look. And as you notice, we have information of like the memory up here is going down as we use stuff. So fast mem max 6,787K. That's wow, that's a lot of memory. So 68,000 idle chip 1 megabyte. I'm assuming is where this is at. I'm not doing anything, so there's nothing to monitor the performance for. So I can close you. There you go. Yeah, and then we have icon editor, which would be great. I would love to edit some icons and fiddle around with this, but with it being black and white and with me seeing what you see, there's no reason for me to edit this. The icons that are now loaded represent tools. If you wish to edit another type of icon, you must load an icon of that type. These are the types of icons: disk, draw, tool, project, garbage. So apparently my icons are loaded, but there's nothing loaded because these are placeholder images. So not important. Color. Which version of gray do you want? Alright, in frame, write to disk, save load. We don't want to do any of that. Alright, so awesome to know that the Gotek works. On top of that, the ACA500 works. And then with that, selecting disks, at least on the Gotek itself, works. Unfortunately, I do have to lean way over to, I know that my audio doesn't change because my mic's right next to my face, but I have to lean way over in order to change disks and to see what's on that disk. That may get fixed later, but I don't know. Now there's a reset button here on the ACA500. I'm going to press that and find out if that resets my PC, or whether or not it resets the ACA. Let's see what happens. It does absolutely nothing, so I'm assuming that's only for the ACA500. I'm going to turn it off, and then we're going to turn it back on. Alright, and then what we can do now is we can boot into Kickstart ROM 3.1, which will come up all off the CF card. None of it's coming off the disk itself. Now the Workbench disk that's in there will still load. Yeah, it automatically loads whatever's in there. So you have to go, you have to have like a, I don't know if you can have a blank disk in there or an empty disk, probably. There you go. So this, again, this would be the pretty version if it were in color. It's not. So we have extras 1.3, that's the disk that's in there, but we want Workbench 3.1. Let me see if we have system. Do we have IntelliFont? No. Fast mem format? No. Where's the other thing? Graphs? Tools? Tools. Right, tools. So now we have a separation between graphics memory and other memory. There's no way this thing has 7 megs of memory in it. No, I have the 512 oh. I forgot, the ACA500 does some weird stuff with your trapdoor memory. Okay, so I have a 512 expansion card in my trapdoor for the Amiga. The ACA500Plus has a RAM expansion on it, I believe. I actually don't remember the specs on memory expansion, but I'm fairly certain it does actually have like 8 megs on it, or something like that. And then what it does is it converts your trapdoor memory, instead of bypassing it or locking it out, it actually converts that into fast memory. Which I don't know what fast memory is, but apparently that's a good thing. So, if we take a quick look and see what this show config, that's what we were looking at before, right? Processor, CPU 68,000, custom chips ECS, NTSC, Agnes, okay, unknown. Version, Kickstart version 40.63, exec version, disk version, RAM, node type, A attributes, fast, 7040K, so 7 megs-ish. Node type, K attributes, 705 fast. Okay, so here's my 512 expansion, yeah, that's my 512K expansion card in the trapdoor, so it gives me half a meg extra. Which is weird that this says 0.5 megs and this says 7K. Because 7K, wouldn't that be 0.7 megabytes? So it gives me roughly a meg and a half, a little bit under a meg and a half. then we have chip RAM, which is roughly 1 megabyte. Boards plus ROM, HD, question mark, unidentified prod number. So this is basically the board. It's like what board is attached to me. It thinks it might be a hard drive. It doesn't know, and that's okay because it doesn't have to know. But yeah, so it takes my 5 megabytes of RAM and just converts it to fast RAM. So it ups my available do stuff happy day memory here, which puts me at just over a meg of fast RAM and just roughly a meg of chip RAM. Again, I have no idea what any of that means. I have I have unfortunately not done enough with this. I've just been repairing it. Is all I've been doing is just fixing it, fixing the keyboard, buying parts for it, plugging those parts in, and I've literally done nothing with it personally between videos. So what you're seeing me do here is me actually learning. There's nothing in the expansion slots. Well, storage, Workbench startup, of course, tells it what to start up. There's nothing to start up, but we can tell it to start a program if we wanted to. We were already in here. I don't know why I came back. I think system. No, we did system, and there's, yeah, we can say no fast memory, which is kind of silly. Then we have two multi-view and clock under utility. Let me use the clock. Apparently, it thinks it's January 7th of 1991. Or July 1st. This is an American PC, so I'm assuming that's January 7th of 91, not the 1st of July 91. Either way, year is wrong. I mean, if it were as backwards as it seemed, that could be 19 in reverse. It also thinks it's just past noon, and it's very much not. So the internal clock is very off. The 512 RAM has a battery in it, and it's soldered into place, but from the looks of this, either the clock is off because the ACA500, or the clock is off because the memory, the battery that's supposed to keep the clock running is dead. So, 1% full, 469 megs free. Yeah, it's very much not that full. Well, I guess work is my hard drive, huh? This is what I have to assume, and this is my actual hard drive. So 0% full and 1.5 megabytes free, which is basically 1.5 gigs, depending on how this is worded. And the RAM disk is 100% full, 0K free, 16K in use. So my RAM disk is all filled up. That's okay. So yeah, there's a benchmarking program you can use for this. I don't know what it is. I don't have a copy of it, and I don't honestly care that much. Not because I don't care, but it's because most of the stuff I want to run on this is going to be simple stuff anyway. I might throw some Pro Tracker on here to get some original Amiga mod music going. Actually hear it from the sound chip on here and just like drool. Of course, I would upload that for you, except it would sound like every other YouTube video you've ever seen of Amiga music because YouTube conversion. And yeah, my thoughts on audio files and digital conversion, where they play you a record and upload it on YouTube telling you, doesn't that sound so much better? And you're like, yeah, that analog converted to digital compressed for the internet sounds absolutely better than my digital MP3 compressed to the internet. Yeah, I can absolutely hear the fidelity. And that's basically my whole idea on it. But yeah, of course I'm going to throw some games on here. There's some games I want to play on here that I would not play in DOS. One of them is Neuromancer. I've never played Neuromancer. I'm a very big Cyberpunk fan. Some of you may know. But with that, Neuromancer is a CGA game on DOS, and it makes my eyes bleed. I cannot stand CGA. However, on the Amiga, it's in color, because the Amiga came standard with, well, looking at a black and white screen, the Amiga came standard with color out VGA and things like that, and things that were converted to it were usually converted to use color, so that's a bonus there. Now, I don't have any demos or anything. If I had a demo, I'd play it for you, but again, it's all in black and white, so it wouldn't do any of us much good. Yeah, you can change everything on here. Screen mode, overscan, eye control, input, palette, render graphics, serial port, sound, not that that matters, location, time. Oh, we can change the time. I wonder if I change the time now if it'll stay. What year is this? It is... Okay, backspace apparently is the wrong key to hit. Can I just over here and say... Okay, it doesn't like that I'm trying to do that, and I don't know why. Oh, are you kidding me? I have to do it like this? No, it still thinks it's 1991. Alright. Okay, well, let's get the month correct at least. See, I'm learning how to computer. Project, no, I don't want to quit. It's not the 7th, this is today's date. Not the date of this video, believe me. But it's today's date, hour. So this part's easy. I can do this without any kind of issues. The problem is it will not let me choose what year it is. It thinks it's 1991 and it's not gonna give that up for a minute. That's about where it is now. Okay, so we're using the time and date, except for this little guy. Yeah, whenever I press a number key, the screen just goes dark. Can I backspace? Oh, now I can backspace. What? Okay, that was the warning message telling me to stop doing that, but there's probably a sound effect with that too. 19. Oh, can we use that? Yay! Any chance we can save that? No. Well, when I reboot, it'll probably still say that it's 1991. And hey, why not, you know? So, and again, under not system utilities? Yeah. If we go to our clock now, 9, 18, 19, and all the arms have been moved. So yeah, I am still not done customizing this, although now it's at a state where I would be happy to play games on it and enjoy it and fiddle about with it. The only thing is that I don't have a joystick, and very many games require a joystick, but I have a plan to fix that issue too, which is awesome. You asked me, and you did, because you're awesome. I also have to fix my mouse, although it does appear to be working very well with a faster processor, since the ACA500Plus is a faster processor. Clicking is no longer me trying to figure out whether or not I'm clicking wrong or that the mouse isn't working. So the mouse button may be working fine, because it feels like it's working fine, versus just not registering a click because the CPU is in the middle of doing something. But I'm not trying to pad out this video, but I feel like I'm trying to pad out this video. So what I'm going to go ahead and say is, as of right now, as of this moment, the Amiga is actually good to go, as it were. I guess you could say it is ready to rock and in some ways roll. The only thing is if I play any games on it, they're only going to be in black and white, which means I need a 15 kilohertz capture card. More coffee, of which some exist. There are some that do exist, but they're expensive. They're over the $200 price point. Simply because it is a specialty. Not very many things require such a low rate for capture. And so because of that, finding cards or finding capture cards that go that low is very difficult. Finding TVs that go that low are very difficult. Usually it's a television you have to find, not a monitor. Very rarely will a monitor do that, but televisions are starting to move away from that signal strength as well, because they're not needed as much. And it's an extra piece of hardware you can cut out, extra piece of software you can get rid of that you don't have to support and you don't have to pay to put in, that no one's going to use anyway. So it makes sense that companies are doing that, but it's also a big pain in the tail. Because it just makes you wonder how long it's going to be before we start making custom televisions in order to support our old school hardware. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and call this one and say that the Amiga 500 is up, it is running, and it is ready to rock and roll. So for now, I would like to thank you all very much for joining me, 4KB Short, on this episode of Short Circuits. And I will see you guys next video.